Hello, everyone. So, list number 3 of 5, and this one, as the title suggests, is going to be my top 10 video games that I played this year. Admittedly, I was not able to play nearly as many as I wanted to. I was only able to get through 21 this year, which I think by all standards is still pretty solid and decent. Very happy to be able to play as many as I can. And I'm going to start off with 3 honorable mentions, ones that just narrowly missed out on the top 10. And those are going to be South of Midnight, Ninja Gaiden 4, and the Metal Gear Solid remake. So all of these were really, really great in their own due. So Metal Gear Solid remake, of course, was very, very well done. I think they brought again to a lot more, less gunkiness to the gameplay. They really perfected a lot of things, and again, to as a remake should do. It looks really, really good for the modern day era. Ninja Gaiden 4 was a very, very welcome entry into the franchise. I felt it could move very slow at times, pacing and story wise, within the first, maybe, let's say like 3 to 4 hours, but then it really starts to pick up and become really, really good. Ninja Gaiden games combat is great as always. I found it wasn't as challenging as I would have liked it to be, but still very, very fun playthrough. And then South of Midnight's very, very beautiful in terms of its illustrations, its story, its meaning. The music in this is pretty solid too. It was just a very unique visual and playable experience. So yes, all 3 of these just narrowly missed out. But let's start with number 10 on the list, and that is going to be Borderlands 4. This one was definitely heightened by playing the experience of playing with a lot of my friends and just going through the campaign, really busting it out in just a few days of playing. I found I've never been huge on Borderlands, but it did really tighten down on a lot of the mechanics. I did enjoy the storyline, and again, too, the guns are absolutely crazy. Gunplay was really fun, but yeah, no, when you play this co-op, it really heightens the experience, and I just had an absolute blast with it more than I have again too with any of the other Borderlands games. But again, too, I will say a little bit of bias here. It was really heightened with that experience of playing with people. So if you have a group of buddies to go into this with, definitely do that because it definitely it was just a blast. All right, and at number 9, we have the newest entry into the Silent Hill franchise, and this was Silent Hill F. Gameplay, pretty clunky, but the story was really, really good. It was raw, it was brutal, it was devastating, it was scary, everything that makes a very, very good Silent Hill entry. So yes, I definitely recommend picking this one up, especially if you're a fan of the franchise, or again, so you want a bit of a unique take on the franchise, because this is different in a lot of ways, but a very, very solid entry. Number 8, I have Monster Hunter Wilds. Same thing too. Never played a ton of the Monster Hunter games, but this one was very, very much heightened with my experience playing it with friends. Co-op was great. Things moved really, really well. I thought again to a lot of the hunts, a lot of the monsters, and just a lot of the fighting mechanics were really improved upon in every single way, which of course a sequel should do. But yeah, no, a ton of fun that I had with this one. Very epic moments within the story. And again, too, just that you can create with the mechanics that they brought into all the new fighting and all the new monster hunting. Very, very great. Number 7, I have Doom the Dark Ages. In ways, a step down from Doom Eternal, but it was very, very, like, against with the clunkiness of the gameplay, worked just because of how much power and how heavy set the weapons of Doom Guy were in this one. Again, too, there's just some absolutely epic moments that happen within the campaign and the main story. It is brutal. It is war. It's just great. It's Doom. It's very, very good. Again, too, I loved all the new additions. I thought the shield was really, really fun to play around with, one in terms of defense, but also again too in terms of the combat that you could do with it. Of course, the whip chain was really, really good. Introduction of kind of glory kills back ish into the franchise in some ways, but again, to adding in the again to beast missions and the missions where you're in the mechs were really, really fun. It's something that people have been wanting to again to jump into since the Doom kind of reboot about 10 years ago. It was great to finally have these moments and be able to get Doomslayer into these big weapons and take on even bigger demons. It was a lot of fun. At number 6, I have the Oblivion remaster. So again, too, I love the Elder Scrolls franchise, and this did everything a remaster should. So I think more so in terms of the Metal Gear Solid remake. Again, too, things were just really brought into the modern day age in terms of mechanics, in terms of graphics, all those things. And again, so it was just a really, really great story. I was able to get into it, I think, more than I was able to with Oblivion back in the day when I first played it. So for that, it made a very, very memorable experience, brought a lot of nostalgia back and just heightened on everything. So yeah, it was just absolutely fantastic, and I loved every seconds that I spent playing this one. And number five, I have Split Fiction, which is probably the best co-op game I've played in a long, long time. It is an absolutely bonkers, wild story, but a story that is very touching in a lot of ways. I thought the voice actors did a good job. There's some corny dialogue, but it really worked with the characters, and it just made a very, very fun experience. The way that they're able to switch up the gameplay is really, really good. Again, too, for some bonus sections that you want, there's some really challenging missions. And again, too, with the whole co-op experience, I enjoyed this more than It Takes Two in a lot of ways. I think it's just because the story spoke to me a little bit more, and it was just a little more up my style in terms of gameplay. Again, too, there's just so many levels that they're able to change things in ways that are very challenging, very exciting, very hilarious, very sad in some ways too, but truly never a dull moment within this game. And for a long time, I did actually think that this was going to be my number one game for the year because it came out so early in January. But yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend this one. And at number four, I have Ghost of Yotai. So with this one, again, too, a lot of the criticism was that it is very similar to the first game in terms of mechanics and side missions. Again, to little quest fetches, which honestly is perfect because Ghost of Tsushima nailed it. There wasn't really much to improve on, but this game again too looks glorious, and the story I found was really, really good. Did I prefer Ghost of Tsushima's? Yeah, of course I did. But all the new characters that they introduce have really, really good stories. Again, too, this is a lot of brutal, absolutely brutal warfare within Japan and within Japan. It's devastating in a lot of ways, but again, so it gives you a lot of hope. There's a lot of really good characters that bounce off each other. Again, so the writing's just absolutely stunning and just beautiful in a lot of ways. I found too it really tapped a bit more into the Japanese culture in a lot of ways in terms of the side missions, and again too just a lot of the ways that they grow their characters. There's lots to explore within this island as well, and yeah, they just absolutely nailed upon everything I think they needed to. Introduce some new weapons, which were very, very fun to use again. And again, too, even though a lot of the gameplay was perfect, I found there was just some little tweaks that made it faster, heavier in a lot of ways, and just again, so it really brought things into an even more perfected version in a lot of ways. It was absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend anyone play it. Photo mode is absolutely incredible too. I spent lots and lots of hours just taking in the scenery of this absolutely beautiful game. All right, the top three, and number three is Expedition 33. This one kind of moved around a little bit within my list when it came to the whole use of generative AI within it. I really don't want to be promoting a lot of things, but this game did shock me in a lot of ways. I am not someone who is into turn-based combats, but this game was absolutely stellar in the way that I think it implemented it, but also too in terms of its characters, its story, its art design. It's beautiful to look at. Like it's absolutely fascinating. I found it was very challenging in a lot of ways. The voice acting is great, of course, when you have likes of the talents of people like Charlie Cox, and can go on and on and on with the amazing cast within this game. But yeah, no, they made a very, very unique, interesting, and extremely cool world. And again, too, the story behind the studio is pretty great. Again, too, it is definitely a game to be celebrated. It's beautiful, it's fantastic. If you haven't played it, I do highly recommend giving it a shot. Again, too, I really didn't want to in a lot of ways just because of the turn-based combats, but it won me over. It's a fantastic game. But at number two, I have Hollow Knight Silksong. So again, too, the environments all hand drawn. This game's beautiful, well worth the long, long wait it took to get this one. Exploring is absolutely great. I find the combats was again too heavily improved upon, and it is just a game that I can keep going back into and back into and back into. No matter how many times I die, no matter how many times I complete it, it is just that good and that fun and that beautiful to play. The music is haunting, it's beautiful, it's everything it needs to be at the right moments. Same with the combat. Same with, again, to the visuals, everything like that. It is stellar, amazing, and very, very close to being my number one game of the year. But that number one spot, I have to give it to Death Stranding 2. Just, I really, really liked the first game in a lot of ways, and I found this one really dived into everything that I loved about the first game a lot more. Again, too, the mechanics were pretty much perfect, but within the first entry already, but they really improved upon everything that they needed to. The story is bonkers and wild, and I found it took some of my favorite elements and moments of the Metal Gear Solid franchises, specifically Metal Gear Solid 4, and just made it perfect. Everything that this game needed to be. Great villains, great side characters, an amazing story with twists that you do not see coming at all. Great relationship again too with Sam and Lou, and again too, just a visual spectacle to behold in so many ways. The combat I think is so underrated within this game, and I absolutely love it so much. And again too, just a story of connecting the world is fantastic. I love that we got to see a little bit more of the world, travel to Australia, travel to a lot of places within this game. And yeah, they just nailed upon everything I needed it to personally for me. They Yeah, Kojima is a mastermind. I will say that till the end of time. And yeah, just what a franchise that Death Stranding is. All right, so in the comments, let me know what your favorite games of 2025 were, and yeah, just leave them all down below. I would love to kind of jump into more of the ones that I missed this year, and I do very much hope that I have more time and again too just a lot more means to play more games next year. It seems like we got quite a bit coming out, so I'll try my best to have this list be a lot more extensive and have a lot more included within it for next year. But yes, of course, if you like what you see here, like, subscribe, turn the little ringer on, because I do have two more videos, two more lists left to make by the end of the year. They're going to be my top 10 movies and my top 10 TV shows, and of course there's still things ongoing, things I got to catch up on. But very, very excited to bring those lists to you when they come out. But yeah, just awesome, guys.